How is Morrowind for the Elder Scrolls Online? Let's do a review. Here to discuss with me is of course Zach Sharp. Zach, you played a ton of it, right?
Yeah, I played about 20-ish hours of it so far, so I've been
Awesome.
having a good time with it.
I played the beta and I've also played like a lot of Elder Scrolls Online like before this.
Oh
So
yeah, I'm champion like 167 or something like that, so I definitely have played a good bit of the game.
so you're playing with your your veteran character?
Yes, I am. I'm playing
Okay.
with a Templar that's spec'd for healing, but also has a good bit of damage as well, because in the Elder Scrolls Online, there's a lot of hybrid classes and whatnot.
Yeah.
So one of my weapons is dual wield swords. The other is a healing staff. So that's sort of what I've been running with.
Okay, cool. So let's first start it off a little bit, do some sort of introduction, because I think a lot of new players will also be like, yeah, playing Elder Scrolls Online with this new expansion, but that doesn't really matter, right? Because what they introduced with 1 Tamriel like earlier this year is that you can now just play whatever you want. You can just go into a zone and everything will be leveled according to your level as well. So yeah, then you will not have a struggle with, oh my god, my friend is already like playing for such a long time. But yeah, you can still play together. And with Morrowind, this is also the case. But yeah, how was it? Like, it's starting out, of course, I played the tutorial as well. I thought it was pretty cool, but you did not do the tutorial, right?
No,
So
I
you
did.
just
I
went
did.
into
I did not, but I
so-
made a warden just to like look over the skills and play around with it a little bit. I didn't really play too much of it. I played like the level 5 maybe. But
Okay.
when I made the
That was a
character,
new-
I hit skip tutorial, and then I went and my
Okay.
character was immediately on the boat, and right next to Satan, if I remember correctly. And so yeah, I just walked out, got a quest, and then went and did my thing.
Okay, no, there is a new tutorial for Morrowind. So if you're
Oh,
starting
okay.
out with that, you have a totally different tutorial. I played it in the beta, and it was pretty cool. It was like, yeah, it's just a good introduction to the Elder Scrolls Online as well. Like, it's not in the like, yeah, in the prison where you start out like in the original game. And yeah, it already gives you a little bit of that Morrowind like taste, and you also already see like the character that plays a big part in this expansion. Can you tell more about her? She's like the assassin, right? That yeah, is like kind of your mentor throughout the whole expansion.
Yeah, so you delve into the Morag Tong a lot throughout the entire storyline, and you meet a couple different people throughout it. Isn't the assassin's name Naryu? Yeah, Naryu. Yeah, Naryu's the main one that sort of sticks with you throughout the entire thing. And the fact that I remember her name is a good thing, because usually I'm terrible with names unless it's a character that I actually like. And so in this case, she's very sort of mysterious, somewhat dark, but you also understand her motives and the reasons for what she does. She's very loyal to her faction, and she wants to make sure that not only are her interests served, but also that the Morag Tong is a respected unit throughout all of Morrowind.
Yeah, so you like the overall story, because of course you have a lot of like side content that you can do, a lot of side quests, but the overall story is of course this god is like, yeah, he's having a hard time, and you are trying to figure out what's happening, and yeah, you're trying to resurrect it, at least at the beginning of what I played. It already, yeah, got some interesting things. I was already like interested in helping him. So how did you feel like the whole story, of course, without spoiling, yeah, turned out over the whole like expansion?
Yeah, so I haven't really delved too much into the main storyline. I've done a little bit of it so far. I've gotten to the point where now I'm exploring the world to further the main story. And while I'm exploring the world, I'm ending up, stopping in and doing all the stuff in Belmora, and doing, stuff in other locations that I come across as well. And really just experiencing all the story and every single quest that I come across to its fullest, which is something I didn't really do with the main game as much. There were some particular quests that I really took the time to read everything and maybe ask a little bit more questions than I normally would have from the NPCs, just to learn a bit more about the world. But as someone who thinks that Morrowind is the best Elder Scrolls game hands down, like it just destroys everything else, I really got a lot of nostalgia from going through doing the story and a lot of the storylines within Morrowind are really good, especially the Balmora ones. I found that there was a good bit of twist turns that I didn't expect, and that really sort of brought a lot of intrigue that maybe pushed forward and wanting to, finish that chapter of the storyline. And it was a good bit of length too. Like the bigger storylines that are throughout Morrowind, like throughout each of the main towns that you'll come across, they're a decent size, they're decent length. You'll spend maybe anywhere from an hour to a few hours doing these and having a good time reading through everything, going and doing each of the parts of the mission and learning more about each faction that you come across, whether it's a house or whether it's a grander political faction, like the Morag Tong that is sprawled somewhat across Morrowind as an entirety. So it's a very interesting atmosphere for a story to be based out of. And from what I've seen of the Vivek storyline with the god that you mentioned that a lot of people know of, it seems like it's going to turn into an interesting storyline with sort of the Daedra and whatnot, but I've not really delved too much into it to really know that much about it and really know on a grander scale how good the storyline is.
Okay, interesting. So what you also said that the exploration is kind of nice, and that's what I really like about this expansion. Like from what I've seen so far, is that it feels like a totally different world than what the rest of Elder Scrolls Online is, and that makes me already really interested to keep going and keep finding out what's happening in this world, where in this small area. Because if you see the map for the first time, at least in my what I thought was that it looks kind of small for an expansion world, but there's so much going on. There's a volcano area, there's a clockwork city area, and of course the forest you have. The city is pretty weird compared to other cities in Elder Scrolls Online that all have some sort of same vibe, at least in for every different faction. I think that the elf cities all kind of look the same, all feel the same, and this is a totally different thing. The huge mushrooms that they have there, the new kind of sort of alien type of enemies. Of course, new enemies in an MMO is always a great thing to encounter them for the first time. So that's what I really like so far. And also what I feel this overall expansion is more of the Elder Scrolls Online, but because it's in such a different world, it felt fresh to me. Going to these delves, you have the sort of single player dungeons you can do. They felt so new, because when I was going in, there was these plants trying to attack me. There, just the overall atmosphere inside the dungeon, how it looked. It was just a totally new thing. While in all the other caves you explore, you kind of saw it all already in the previous Elder Scrolls Online content, in my experience. So that's what I liked a lot about how they kind of did it with it. They really, and I did not play Morrowind, so shame on me, but I still felt for looking at the Elder Scrolls as a whole, I feel that this is really something they needed for me to be interested in it again, because I played a lot during the PC launch, then during the console launch as well, but I kind of fell out of it because everything kind of felt the same in terms of the areas in the world. And that's why I feel that this is really something new. It's inviting me to go and explore again, while all the other simple forest, the desert, I kind of already saw that. So that's what I really like about this.
And what's really cool too is, as someone who played Morrowind, there's a lot of the the towns that you came across in that game, like Sadith Mora is there, Tel'Aran'e, you're gonna see Nissus, you're gonna see Seyda-Neen, you're gonna see Alderaan, you're gonna see Balmora, you're gonna see Vivek, you're gonna see all these places before they were sort of built up over time to be what they are in Morrowind. Because if I remember correctly, this is way before Morrowind. I think it's because Elder Scrolls Online is set before a lot of the series, so you get to see a lot of what was before, and see how maybe different actions through the political factions sort of brought up and built each of these towns over time to make them what they are, at least to the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind's timeline. So it's a really interesting thing from a Morrowind fan, to be able to come through and see each of these towns, and all of them are really good, at least the ones that I've seen so far. I've been to Vivec, I've been to Seyda Neen, I've been to Balmora, I've been to Alderaan, I've been to Seyda Mora. Each of those so far have been really, really awesome to look at and see sort of what's different about them. Like Vivec is in construction, it's not at all the size it is in the actual game, and so you get to see sort of that they're building it up to be what Vivec is to the current storyline that we know of with the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. And Seyda Mora, as you mentioned with the mushrooms, there's a ton of like different mushrooms and stuff that are popping up, and it's really beautiful to look at. Balmora is architecturally beautiful to look at, how it's designed as it was in the original. And the volcano as well, you could see it in the distance pretty much everywhere that you're at on this landmass, because this landmass is somewhat of a shrunk down version of Morrowind. It's not massive in the sense that it's just like super sprawled out and everything. Like it does have a good bit of stuff for you to do. Like I've only went like in the bottom half so far. I've not been on the top half of the map, and I still have stuff to do. And there's a lot of different random like mini boss fights you can do. Maybe one that you'll see in the video as well, where you kill like a spider or whatnot, and you do it with a bunch of different people. And there's also dailies as well that you can take from Vivec and go out into the world and do world boss fights too. And it just creates an atmosphere where if you want, you can go out and solo, but if you would rather be with a group, you can also do some group things as well, like the bosses and whatnot. But there is, and this is my biggest complaint and why I don't think I could recommend it maybe at $40, maybe $30, is the fact that there's no dungeons, and the dungeons are going to be added later, and presumably
there
probably
are, like,
for
open dungeons.
Yeah,
right?
But those don't count to me.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm talking like the 4-man dungeons where you go in, you kill bosses, and you work as a unit to complete them.
Just because otherwise people will be saying in the comments, but there are dungeons.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I agree with you. Yeah, we want instant dungeons, like way more, because otherwise you have like 10 people running around and there's like no strategy involved at all. So
exactly. Yeah. And I'm not asking for much either. I'm just saying like 4 would be sufficient. That way you have 4 normal, 4 veteran, each of which are the same content except for veterans are a little bit more expanded upon. But that's all I would ask to get it up to the $40 mark, because if you look at every other type of MMO that's out there that releases like $40 expansions, and even free-to-play games that don't even make you spend a dime in release content expansions, all of them seem to have enough capability to release big land masses that have a lot of quality content, as well as releasing dungeons as well, some even with voice acting too. So I don't really see there being a proper excuse for them not to have done that. What I would like to see, which I know is not going to happen, the dungeon pack that's going to release in the future during the summer, I would love for that to be like free for people who own Morrowind, but I doubt that's going to be the case, because it just doesn't need to be, because a lot of people are just going to subscribe and do them anyhow, or pay for them to do them anyhow. But it's just a shame, because if that were the case, honestly, even though I haven't played much of the Warden just because I don't feel like leveling up a new class, but from what I saw from the skill tree, it looks pretty good. I would recommend this hands down if they just included the dungeon pack to people who own Morrowind, because it has everything else to be a fantastic addition to the game, and maybe people who don't care for dungeons will just be completely fine with it. Because there's also the trial as well, but I'm not really into raiding, so I don't really do that. I want a smaller group, so it's kind of one of those things where they have one thing but they don't have the other, and they have a lot of other stuff but they don't have it. The mix just is kind of a little bit awkward for me.
Okay, I agree, and for me, dungeons is also like one of the things that I enjoy the most out of MMOs, so I can totally see where it's coming from. But they also have like the Battlegrounds, so a totally new PvP system, a new class, which is pretty big in the Elder Scrolls Online, because there are only 3 classes. For example, I'm now looking at the fact sheet for the new Final Fantasy 14 like expansion that's coming up, and there's way more content in there, like but they have, for example, 2 new jobs, so you could say 2 new classes. But of course, in the Elder Scrolls Online, you have like 3 classes like in the game right now, so adding a new one is like a pretty big thing, because you can mix and match with all the weapons, so the balancing should be a nightmare for them. So I can see why, yeah, the new class is like a pretty big deal as well. But I'm not trying to defend them. I can see where you're coming from. But if I think that if you just look at it from how many hours am I going to get from it, the quality that there is, or yeah, that they like give to you is like really good. It's a new type of. It's not like a rehash of the same. I mean, in terms of like what it is, it's like what we can expect from an Elder Scrolls Online expansion. But in terms of like the world, it's totally different. So I still think that it's just how you look at it. And also, if you just are not really a dungeon guy, then maybe this is like, yeah, still.
Oh
like,
yeah, if you don't care about dungeons, I mean, you're gonna have a great time with this. And quite frankly, yeah, you're gonna get around 40 hours out of this. So if you're the type of person like myself who tries to aim to get a $1 to 1 hour ratio out of each of your games, that you're gonna be able to get that fairly easily and feel satisfied with your purchase. To make it the perfect expansion, all they had to do is add dungeons, and I would have been 100% hands down, buy this, no questions asked. It's fantastic. So if you don't care for dungeons, buy it. If you care for dungeons, you're gonna be missing out. You're gonna feel that void that I do when I'm playing this. So
okay, yeah.
As far as the Battlegrounds go, I just want to touch on it a little bit.
Oh, totally. Yeah, of course.
It's as far as they go, I like what they did. It's just unfortunate that the matchmaking, I feel, isn't really there in terms of balancing out like an MMR type system, so that way you don't get like pre-made groups that go against people who aren't pre-made, or you don't go against like people who are really skilled at the game that always win when you're not really that experienced within it. I wish they had some sort of a good matchmaking system there. It doesn't seem like they do, or it's just not good enough yet. As far as the balance go, and this is why the classes to me really don't matter, because there's a lot of different abilities that can completely transform your class. So even though there's only 3 base classes, there's a lot of different variations that you can do. Yeah. The balancing doesn't seem to be there either. I'm not trying to say that every single type of combination should work, but I definitely think that for this type of system, it's a shame, and it kind of highlights the imbalance of some of the builds versus other builds, and that's just sort of the issue that you get, and why sometimes more variations isn't better for a game. Because, like, for example, some might only be good for PvE, some might be good for PvP. I've had success with mine a little bit here and there. If I get focused, I'm pretty much dead, but good teams that I've been with have been able to protect me, and which as a result allowed me to keep all of them alive, because I'm a healer, I'm wearing cloth, I'm wearing a warlock set, so I'm not really wearing something that's going to protect me a whole lot, but I'm able to heal a ton and just do it constantly. Like, I never run out of mana, so I can just keep people alive forever. So it's been an interesting experience to play the death match, to capture the flag, and also the more domination style map, and it's been cool to play that, because with Cyrodiil doesn't really perform that well, and it never really has in terms of frame rate. So it's cool to have a different option for PvP players out there to dive into. And the queues seem to be pretty quick. The rewards seem to be all right. You do get points for them. So there is reasons to do it. So I definitely like the implementation. It just needs a little bit more work and more refinement over time, which I expect them to probably do if it's popular, which it seems to be pretty popular at this time.
Yeah, totally. When it will launch. I mean, you're now trying an early access like build when on June 6th. It should probably be way better. But yeah, what I never really liked about Cyrodiil is, but I never thought that I had an impact on what was going on, because it's so huge. So that's why I like the more smaller things. And yeah, we already kind of mentioned it, but there's also a new trial. So you said 40 hours, but I think that of course the trial gives you a ton of replayability as well, and a new class. I mean, you tried it a little bit. I played it as well. I think I played it a little bit more because I did my whole beta experience with that new class. And what I really liked about it is that it's really AoE focused. So you have a lot of different. You can just take on a lot of enemies at the same time and just throw some weird spiritual animals at them, and see where it goes. And it's really also about aiming. You really have to I mean, the combat in Elder Scrolls Online has always been like, a little like not really that action heavy, but also like not like the standard MMO stuff with tap targeting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what I really liked about this one is that it really, you really had to understand, okay, my like spiritual beast is going to hit there, so I'm better going to face the enemy this way. Well, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool to play that way, but I haven't really healed with it at all. Although there are some interesting things I know that they kind of added to the healing spec, and it's like an all-around like pretty good character. I think you can do a lot of stuff with it, so I think it's a cool new addition to the game, and I really like seeing that, because I kind of felt, and that's why when I will play this eventually on the PS4, is I will re-roll my character for that one, because I kind of felt in some sort of weird situation with my Nightblade, where I was like, I'm not really enjoying the combat anymore. I just put a lot of like a Magicka, like all my points in there, and just did like the lifesteal attack, the Shinopping, I think it's called, or do you know the name of that skill?
No, I'm not a Nightblade.
No, okay, I can see. Well, it's something like that. Yeah. But anyway, I just spammed that and I killed like everyone. So there was like no challenge at all. So yeah, that's why I'm going to reroll, because to have a little bit more fun. But yeah, I think that overall, and you kind of touched on it all a lot already, like it's a great expansion. Sadly, there's no dungeons, but probably later with the first DLC pack, like they did, of course, with the last DLC pack they added, like, right?
Yeah, Shadows of the Hist. Yeah, released two new dungeons, and then those dungeons had veteran modes as well. So it's pretty much 4. Yeah.
And how much was that? $15? Something like that?
I don't remember, because I just subscribe. I don't buy each of them separately.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. So of course, yeah, if you subscribe, probably when that comes out, you will maybe have the dungeons you wanted at launch.
Yeah.
I think that will totally be. I think that will totally be something. I mean, that's something they're missing right now, and they already said that. I think this year there should be 2 new expansions. And what's interesting, if they are like Morrowind focused, that you don't need Morrowind to play these DLC. So that is interesting. So interesting to see how that will go. But yeah, I really like the kind of things they added. It just adds some more fantasy. That's like my real thing. Some more weird fantasy, and not like that really traditional Elder Scrolls type of fantasy that I'm not really a big fan of. I like it. Yeah, I'm playing with freaking elves and stuff, so I don't mind if it goes like a little bit more over the top. So then I'm getting like surprised by the things that I discover, and I never really felt that in the original Elder Scrolls world, so it's cool to see that right now. Any closing thoughts before we end the video?
No, I think that we covered pretty much everything that is within the expansion, and I think that people, as I mentioned before, who maybe don't care for having dungeons or don't see it as a big deal, will enjoy the expansion and get a lot of hours out of it between maybe their main character as well as leveling up a warden. And I think that for a first expansion pack, I think they've done a good job. I really think they did, and I'm looking forward to see sort of how they're going to expand upon this, and what's going to be the future of the Elder Scrolls Online. Like, what would they do next if they want to release another expansion? So I think that's going to be interesting to see looking forward.
Yeah, totally. And they want to do like these types of like probably retail releases every year. I mean, that's always something with MMO developers. They say some like weird, some pretty ambitious stuff.
Blizzard.
Exactly. With World of Warcraft, every year new expansion. Well, we know how that went. At least right now, they seem to be a little bit better with that. But I mean, would be awesome to have something new every June, like. But that also like makes it less special. And I think that what they did right now, like reimagine like Morrowind for the 2017 age and in an MMO, is pretty cool. So it will be interesting to see what they will do next for sure. But right now, let us know if you have any questions about Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind, or if you're planning to buy it, let us know down below. Subscribe for more gaming discussions, like video if you did, and of course, Zach, thanks a lot for discussing this with me, and until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.